Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. Today we're going to ask the question, how do you value a collectible card? And this works for Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering, whatever you want to do, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And some of you already know the answer to that question, but there are others of you who I've seen in the Facebook group who are saying, hey, what is this card worth? And I think it's about time that people learn how to value their own card. Now, if you already know how to do this, if you've already your experience in how to figure out a value of a card, this can be a really good tool for you to understand how I put together my collection tracker and my market update videos. Because this is basically, I'm going to walk you through how I get this data every week. I do this for all the cards that I talk about. I do this for every single card. I go through the whole process. So this will kind of show you that process. And if you want, you can say, hey, this is how you would do that better or whatever. And you can give me your feedback on that. But this is what I do for every one of those cards. But for the rest of you, this is a great opportunity to learn and to really dive into how does a card get its value. So let's get into it. So let's talk about this. This is my kind of three questions I ask about what a card value is. Number one, what did somebody pay for the card? And we're going to actually go through 3 or 4 cards here. Oops. Oh, I just dropped an Arknight Skullcap on the ground. We're going to go through 3 or 4 of these cards and see how I do this and look at the values. But this is the first question, is what did somebody pay? And as recent as you can be with this is super important. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what somebody paid for an Arknight Skullcap like 6 months ago. That doesn't really tell you what the current value of the card is. But what did somebody pay in the last week does tell you a current kind of idea of the card. But it's not just what did somebody pay. It's also who else is selling and what is a card currently selling for. Because just because somebody paid $200 for a card, it doesn't mean that it's worth $200. If there's somebody else that's selling a card for $150 and nobody has purchased it yet, well, the new market value for that card is about $150. So you have to also ask who is selling the card. And then finally, the ultimate question for any collectible item, this works for trading cards, video games, collectible action figures, whatever you want to do, vinyl records, is what is someone willing to pay now? The ultimate standard for what a market price is this answer right here. What is someone willing to pay right now for this collectible thing? Because it doesn't matter. This is the question. It doesn't really matter what somebody paid in the past, and it doesn't really matter who else is selling. The real question that we're trying to answer is, what is someone willing to pay now? It really, I guess, should go like that, right? Like, what is someone willing to pay now? So let's dive in and let's look at how I would do that. And let's go ahead and start our first card. We'll go with the unlimited Arknight Skullcap. So let's pull it up. So I use, and in Flesh and Blood, really what you have to use right now is various sources. So there's my collection tracker. And remember, I always say, look up your own data, right? Like, figure it out. Use this as a guide. So let's see where I am. This was this week. Let's see where I was. I haven't even done this. So let's look at the Arknight Skullcap, right? Arknight Skullcap is going to be down. So this is the full collection tracker. So I've got the Arknight Skullcap currently at $175. This is about 3 days old, the data. So let's see. 3 days ago, I said that the Arknight Skullcap was worth $175. Let's see where it's at now. So your first kind of tool is always going to be eBay. And I really believe that eBay is kind of the best idea for a market value. And this website's called 130point.com, and you can actually search eBay sales. So if we just type in Arknight Skullcap, it will draw up and find all the eBay sold listings for the Arknight Skullcap, and anywhere that there was a best offer accepted. So like right here, there was a best offer accepted for 235 Australian dollars. Okay, and this is a big thing in Flesh and Blood because there's so many, it's a global game. It really is. There are so many things. So 235 Australian dollars, you really need to pop up here and say 235 AUD to USD. 235 Australian dollars is 182 United States dollars. Okay, so that's one sold listing. So 182. All right, so 140 Great Britain pounds. Let's just not look this up. We have another one for 175. We had one for 150, but this one is, now it's 6 days old here. Today is the 17th. So the most recent price would have been on the 14th for 175. So we found an eBay listing. So we would say right now, sold listings, this question of what has somebody paid, right? What did somebody pay would be about $175. So now you got to kind of not just use eBay. If you're buying or if you're selling a card, you don't want to just use one source. So let's pop into Facebook, right? So this is the Flesh and Blood TCG Marketplace North America. And if you hit this button right here, you can search. And so we can search Arcanite Skullcap. Okay. And thank you, Daniel. Good trade gone. Then you want to hit this most recent button because you don't want things from December, right? Like it's February. So you can look right here and you can take a look and see, let's see, trade. This is harder, right? Like it's a lot harder to find these. That is somebody trading a crazy brew. So this is what you do for each card. And it really helps when people leave their sold listing up. So this person right here is selling. Oh, so they sold an Arcanite Skullcap for 200, Cross Rep for 120, and Scabskin Leathers for 90. But they probably ended up selling because they just sold the whole thing. Take the lot for 325. So you could maybe say that Jonathan here sold this for $200. That you might be able to say that. So now it's between $175 and $200. And you kind of keep looking through here too, though, because you never know what happens. And I don't ever go past like a week old because, again, it doesn't really matter past a week. Let's see what this one was. Let's see. Skullcap. This was just not that. So that's really the only sold listing that we had on the marketplace. Now we're $175 to $200. So now you got to go to TCG Player. And if you're not a seller on TCG Player, you would just be using TCG Player low. So Arcanite Skullcap. And I'll show you the seller tools for Arcanite Skullcap too here in a minute. But if you look up on TCG Player, Arcanite Skullcap, currently there's one selling for $195, and that is the low price. And let's see if they give you. See, TCG Player, the market price on this stuff sucks. It's horrible because it's also tying in the cold foil version into this price. So that you can't use that number. And that's why all the automatic data just doesn't work from TCG Player. And that's where I really believe my collection tracker helps because you can't pull automatic data for this right now. So 195 is the current TCG low. But if you're a seller, you can log into your seller tools and type in Arcanite Skullcap. And you can pull up the Arcane Rising one. And you can actually break this down. So this is the first edition cold foil. Near mint, there's one for $17.50 and one the last sold was $2,000. Okay, but let's go. So this is for the unlimited. Current is listed at $195. We saw that already, but the last one that sold was $190. So based on just these three sources, and there's a fourth source which is Discord, and Discord's great. It is, in my opinion, it is less trustworthy, simply because it's a little bit more unknown. The connection to people is a little bit unknown, and there's no support. Like on Facebook, like you get to see the person. There's a whole community. You're not dealing in just a private message. So I look on Discord for my stuff, but I don't really encourage a ton of people to look on Discord unless you're in a small community of people that you have relationships with. And but the large group, I mean, it's good. You can buy and sell there, but I think if you use that as a last resort. So that's the question of what did things sell for. So right now we're kind of sitting around $190 is what I would say to this answer of what did someone pay for it. But you also now we need to look at who else is selling. So we've already seen on TCG Player who else is selling. 195 seems to be the current selling. We didn't see any people selling on. Let's see if Tanner here's got one. No, he's looking to get one. So we didn't really see any current people selling a Arcanite Skullcap on Facebook, but we did not look yet on regular eBay to see if anybody is selling on eBay an Arcanite Skullcap. So let's go back to eBay and let's look up Arcanite Skullcap. And currently on eBay, there's a bid for $177. Look at that horrible, horrible photo. And you probably want to put in the word unlimited and see if there's anybody selling an Arcanite Skullcap. And you can search, you could label this to buy it now. There's only 4. That's crazy. So really, I mean, you're looking at on a buy it now $215 from Canada, in an auction, the lowest one's already over 175. So the current market price has gone up on Arcanite Skullcap since I did my research. So that's where this collection tracker, it can give you it gives you an idea of what it was last week, but it's already 3 days later. It's kind of out of date. So you really need to go through and look up your own data and figure out. So right now, really, I would change this to more like 190. We could call it 195, honestly. Oops. Yeah, you can't change that by yourself. I forgot about that. This auto populates, so I have to change that. It auto populates, so you won't be able to change it there. But really, you should be seeing more like 195. And I update it every week, so I always try to tell you, hey, don't do that. Don't just trust it, because the prices change so rapidly on this stuff. So right now I would call Arcanite Skullcap then, based on that, about 195. And that's kind of the answer to this ultimate question, is what is someone willing to pay now? So I hope that was helpful. I mean, we could go ahead and do this with like Enlightened Strike. You could do it with the Iron Rot Helm. But the video is already at 10 minutes. I feel like I gave you a pretty good idea of where to look through things. So let me know in the comments if you see anything else, if you disagree with the Discord bit. I just really feel like there's plenty of opportunities to look up prices for yourself. And I'm not trying to downplay my collection tracker, right? Like, obviously, like, this is kind of my whole thing on my Patreon. I guess it's not my whole thing. We have the Discord server. We have a lot of other great interactions, whatever. But this is supposed to be more of a guide for you to know where things were, in a full collection tracker to kind of look up the prices or put stuff in to sell, a big, huge lot based on last week's price. But it is not meant to be like hey, this is how much everything I own is definitely worth. So you really need to learn how to look up your own cards. And then the other thing I just want to say is this works for like anything. Like you can look up Magic the Gathering cards like that. You could look up, collectible action figures, whatever you need to do. This is just a great way. These kind of 3 questions, in my opinion, are really the 3 questions that you need to be asking yourself anytime you're wondering what is something worth. So, hey, I hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you. Just wanted to give you guys kind of my process for looking up the data. So I do that. If you're interested, I do that for each card. Some of the rares and all that, I usually end up taking the TCG lowest listed for, because it's just easier than going to all 3 areas. But all the other cards, all the other legendaries, all the other cold foil commons, like Iron Rot Helm, like I would look that up on each one of those places and try to find a current offer. Like this question, like who is selling, what are they selling it for, and what did somebody pay, kind of answers this question: what is someone willing to pay now? So hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you tomorrow night for our big celebration for 1,000 subscribers.